You have two leagues, a handful of the same players, but two different philosophies. So which one is right in the WNBA offseason? Unrivaled came in loud, celebrity investors, a TNT deal, names like Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier blasted in front of everybody. Now Athletes Unlimited, they've been quietly putting in work since 2022, developing players and being one of the only legitimate options in the WNBA offseason. So let's go 3 rounds. On the floor, off the floor, and the overall big picture. Because when you really look at it, the league nobody talks about is building something the league everybody watches probably can't do. Now, both of these leagues offer players options to stay in the United States in the WNBA offseason. Now, some players are offered to play in overseas leagues and have other options, but it really does depend on your skill level. So really these leagues became an option for the role players, the players further down the bench, and really anyone just looking to pick up a decent check while waiting for the season to start. But with this season well underway, we are starting to see some differences between players that played in Unrivaled versus players that played a full season in Athletes Unlimited. Especially when you look at a team like the Golden State Valkyries. It really does look like Caitlin Chen, who participated in Athletes Unlimited, came in and took Kate Martin's spot, who spent her offseason in Unrivaled. Now, Unrivaled is still a development league, but it is a 3-on-3 league that plays 7-minute quarters, and the fourth quarter isn't timed. They play to a specific number set by the score at the end of the third. Now, the biggest thing with Unrivaled is they came in with paying the players first. That was first and foremost on the entire list. So that means they're looking at their books, immediately looking for investors, understanding marketing, figuring out where that money is coming from. It's obviously a different format than 5-on-5, but the goal is also to be less of a strain on the player's body, again, because the goal is to keep the players as healthy as possible. Now, again, on the floor in Unrivaled, this is a very fast-paced game. It's up and down, back and forth, very, very quickly. The spacing is different. In some instances, they have more space. It's a lot of one-on-one. And then in others, it's tightly compacted because they're playing off that pick and roll, and it's only 6 players on the court. And Unrivaled took it a step further and condensed the size of the court, so it's a little bit smaller than the average size WNBA court. Their ball is actually a little bit smaller as well, so if you think about it that way, more players can probably grip the ball. So that's going to give you a slight advantage on handling, passing, shooting. All of the stats kind of increase playing in Unrivaled. Because Unrivaled is more traditional, it is based on the team wins. So the team is trying to win the championship, is trying to win mid-season money and things like that. So the best players are playing in the game. You're not guaranteed playing time just because you're at Unrivaled. So even if you see the floor, unless you're one of the main players on the team, it's not really ran for you. You're just kind of there. And while she's got a lot more to her story, someone like Ariel Atkins is a perfect example for this. Because even avid fans may not even remember she was a part of season 1 for Unrivaled. She just barely played. And I say that to say, as much as you're getting this practice on the ball or off the ball, cutting and things of that nature, if you're not on the floor, you're not getting game time reps. And even in Unrivaled, it's a little bit iffy because this is 3-on-3 game time reps. But I'll say again, for every position that is increasing your stats, your rebounds, your blocks, tip-ins, even dunking is just that much easier in Unrivaled. So this is basketball, it's just a different form of basketball. It's a lot of conditioning. And truth be told, they borrowed a lot of this integrity from actual 3-on-3 Olympic gold medalists that are playing in this league. From Ryan Howard, Alicia Gray, De'Erica Hamby. So those players in particular did give the league some legs to stand on. As far as the play on the floor, the product you're going to get as a fan, again, on the floor. You're getting some of the best 3-on-3 players in the W to play in this league. Even if it wasn't on purpose, that's what happened. Now, when you take a look at Athletes Unlimited, again, on the floor, this is a 5-on-5 game. But the goal is not necessarily for the team to win. It is individual stats based. There's an overall leaderboard, and the top 4 players in this leaderboard are the captains of their teams each week. They also add in that blacktop feel, that playground feel, where the captains pick their teams each week. So you're not only changing chemistry or maybe buddying up, but there's little to get comfortable with. It does force you to think on your feet and really drive home that your individual performance is what matters the most. Yes, this is a team sport. You're going to have assists and rebounds and blockouts that help teammate, but understanding that your individual play helps the team overall, it seems like is the goal at Athletes Unlimited. So that means the teams aren't looking for championships and things like that. They are actively just playing good basketball. So you're going to see the floor even if you're down the bench. I'm not saying you get starter minutes, but it's more evenly distributed. You're actually going to get that development rep on the floor in a 5-on-5 game. So again, when you look at somebody like Caitlin Chen, your decision making, the speed of the game, the competition, all of that is flowing better because she spent an entire offseason in that environment, changing teammates, changing coaches, changing game plans, and having that inner monologue tell her to go get yours. It's not necessarily about being selfish, but it is making you focus on your game. So I have to give it to Athletes Unlimited for development. If you're wanting to work on your game and get better on the floor, Athletes Unlimited is pretty much where you need to be. Now that's very much going to depend on where you are in your career, but on the simplest of levels, if actually getting better is what you want to do in the off season, you got to give it to Athletes Unlimited. Now, when we look off the floor, so to speak, not in the biggest, broadest sense, but more the company structure, the fans, the goal of the league. When you look at Unrivaled, they came in again with big marketing, big investors, bigger names, spectacle. They want the fans to watch. They want companies to come and buy their ads and put their patches on their jerseys. With the first goal being to pay the players, their whole game plan became pulling the money in and kind of covering the entire second season. It does seem like the game plan was known to the players. This league was to force the W's hand, to give the players somewhere to go, taken care of. You don't have to worry about your rent or food and things of that nature. They even had daycare, but there was very little belief that it was going to go directly up against the W. So they played their hand, getting star power, Paige Beckers, AZ Fudd, NCAA players coming right out of college with huge fan bases, and now they can play somewhere where it seemed like they were closer to the fan. And as a fan, that's what was working. They're selling in-game jerseys, merch sweepstakes. Their online presence was insane, while also playing up to the fans that they're taking care of your favorite player, not just with their state-of-the-art facilities and access to whatever training they felt like they needed. It was full of networking opportunities, not just from the coaches, but from the star players in the W. If you're trying to recruit for your team, if you're wanting to be on a better team, cozy up to Paige Beckers, this was the place to do it. So as much as you may not be developing on the floor, you do have the options behind the scenes. You have full access to the weight room and coaching structures and all the things. So if you wanted to get better basically on your own, you can. You're just not guaranteed that option on the floor. But you are guaranteed access to all the parties, fan night, getting your face out there, not just with the fans and the media, but with your colleagues, with your peers in this basketball landscape. So Unrivaled really did come in and try to swing for the fences, get the players everything they're looking for. At the same time, make sure the fans were happy to watch, show up, and contribute to the revenue of the league. So when you jump over to Athletes Unlimited, even off the floor, development was still number one. So there's still a lot going on behind the scenes to get you to be a better player, but there's not a lot marketing wise. There's not a lot on social media. They move around. They're not in the same city every year, so your attendance is going to ebb and flow depending on, unfortunately, your star power at that point. And Athletes Unlimited was built to empower the players. So beyond equity, these players have a seat at the table. They have decision-making power in the league. And that's what was most important when this league came about around 2022. So you have well-known ambassadors, Sydney Colson, Teresa Plaisance, Alicia Clark, who came in saying they just wanted the best for the players. So they do get a decent paycheck. It's an excellent option if you're not offered that chance to go overseas. You're still getting in reps. You're still with basketball colleagues. This past season, they actually had more WNBA players than previous seasons, so they're increasing that talent on the floor, making it a fun product to watch, but it is behind marketing wise. So if you're going into the offseason and your goal is to get your face out there, be seen by the fans, the media, and even your peers, then Unrivaled seems like the place to be. Even if you're not getting those reps on the floor, you can use the weight room and state-of-the-art facilities in the background, and then make sure you show up to all the face events, making that decision based on your career and your career only. Because once you get to the bigger picture, that's pretty much what it becomes. You have to decide as a player, starting with where you are on your team. Are you the star, a second option, somewhere down the bench, the last player in the row? So going into the offseason, is your goal to get better? Is it going to be seen? Is it to get the biggest paycheck? Because all those questions have a different answer once you flow down that question tree. And that's just as a player. As a fan, you kind of have to decide, right, which league is the league for you. On social media, defending which league you'd rather watch. And personally, I got very much pulled into Unrivaled, but then you see something like Kate Martin and you're very much concerned, because you can argue she has a very big fan base, one of the biggest in the league, so maybe she would have fared better at Athletes Unlimited. And then I think of somebody like Tina Charles. I mean, I don't know if she was offered the slot in Unrivaled, but if she was going to retire, going out at Unrivaled would have been wild. You get a bigger paycheck, faces everywhere, you're Tina Charles, so maybe Unrivaled would have been an excellent spot for her last off season. The unfortunate reality is you kind of need both. There is no perfect answer when you consider how much these women have had to go through over the years just to get a decent paycheck. And now that has finally been taken care of with the CBA, not as much, but definitely in a better spot, off season will become even more important, because now it's not just based on your paycheck. It is based on development. It's based on where you want to go next in your career. You can't just say Unrivaled and not get any playing time, and you can't just say Athletes Unlimited and you're already the best on your team. It's starting to become take your career into your own hands, and those decisions in the offseason will more heavily affect WNBA careers moving forward, especially when you consider other leagues popping up like the Upshot League. I do think they should move off season, but that's not a criticism, that's just seeing how the league operates. And it does become an interesting concept to have leagues to choose from, because it's wild to imagine players having the option to not go to the WNBA but go to an alternative league that's just as big. Something like Project B could sneak in and align with the season. And we've just never seen that before. Really, across most major sports, any competing leagues usually die out pretty quickly. So as a fan, you can like both. You're kind of getting the best of both worlds in that sense. You're getting to watch some pretty pure basketball in Athletes Unlimited on top of some pretty decent spectacle in Unrivaled. Absolutely feel free to tell me which one you prefer. But as players, you can start to see where that decision is not just, I hope everybody wins. They have to make the best decision for their careers. Because lastly, I do want to circle back to Ariel Atkins, who actually played in both leagues. Now, she did participate in season 1 in Unrivaled, but obviously wasn't the star player in her team. Other things happened that didn't have her as a full-time player, but she got to experience it and then chose Athletes Unlimited after. And while she didn't medal or anything like that, it's obvious she had a better offseason. For her to go into the new CBA, get a max contract, trade it to the LA Sparks, and actually doing a pretty decent job on that team. I'm not giving all the credit to Athletes Unlimited, but she had a better offseason. And no matter what we prefer as fans, the players will always have to make the best decisions for themselves and their families.
Don't forget to like and subscribe, players.